Welcome to season 2 of the Energy If You Know You Know podcast. This season is sponsored by Liberty Energy, where I serve as their social media coordinator. If you didn't already know, I'm Audrey Flynn and I'm your host for season 2, or as people at Liberty like to call me, A-Fly. We're thrilled to support this podcast and bring you conversations with both C-suite executives and Gen Z professionals, fostering a mutual exchange of career advice and industry insights. To kick things off, we have a very special guest joining us today, CEO of Liberty Energy, Chris Wright, or as I like to call him, C-Fly. He's a self-described tech nerd turned entrepreneur and a dedicated humanitarian on a mission to better human lives. Chris completed an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering at MIT and graduate work in electrical engineering at both UC Berkeley and MIT. In addition to his role at Liberty Energy, he serves on the board of numerous organizations and nonprofits. Thanks for joining us today, Chris. We're excited to have you.
Thrilled to be here. I'm going to try to fly with A-Fly.
Perfect. So, Chris, given your impressive background, what were you doing in your 20s that helped set you up for the success that you have today?
Oh man, a lot. I wasn't as patient and slow spoken when I was in my 20s. I was kind of a hard driving guy who wanted to take the world on. Super interested in mountain climbing and traveling. So I was traveling around the world, climbing various places, which also get to see different cultures in remote rural areas. I was in graduate school and I'd had a summer job when I was about 18 that made me realize what I wanted to do, which was be an entrepreneur. I knew I couldn't work at a big company. I was very unconventional. I wanted time to do my own things. And so that's my 20s, was learning, building confidence, and trying to figure out what I was going to do. I also got married. Luckiest day of my life was before my 20s, but I made it official and married my incredible wife when I was in my late 20s. And so it's all been on coast since then.
Love that. So one of the first things that I realized when I started working at Liberty was the company culture that we have. After I graduated from CU, the oil and gas industry wasn't necessarily in my purview, but I think that Liberty made the industry something special. I noticed from day one the sense of community and everyone who's always supporting each other, no matter their role at the company. So how do you foster such a positive and collaborative company culture here at Liberty?
So a super simple attitude for our culture, which was find great humans, treat them like adults, play to win, and have fun doing it. It's really as simple as that. It ultimately comes down to culture, whatever business you're in. If you can bring great people in and they love what they do and they feel it's meaningful and fun, they're going to keep doing it and great stuff's going to happen.
And do you have a favorite memory or event that you remember that sticks out to you at Liberty?
Oh my God. It's the culture of the people at Liberty, this sort of can-do, I've got your back culture. In fact, one of our great events at Liberty is we do a 100-mile mountain bike ride in one day in the White Rim in Utah. Like, it is awesome. We camp together the night before. We ride 100 miles on dirt bikes and then have a very tired dinner and beer. Yes. And we've got a sag wagon so we can get people along. I'm not sure I can go 100 miles. We got a pickup truck. We got a couple sag wagons behind with food and drinks and seats for people to do it. And we're 45 miles out in this ride. And a great Liberty truck, sag wagon, poof, the tire goes flat. And I'm a mechanical engineer, but I'm not too good with a wrench. And my heart's deflating. My brother, who's a cyclist too, we're like, oh no. And man, streaming past us was 3 or 4 Liberty folks. And my God, the tire was changed in 2 minutes. And they were muscling each other out to be the one to fix it. No one was hoping someone else would do it. It was just, we got it. Bam, it was done. It was nothing. Like, oh, this is a bummer. No, it was nothing. When you're with the Liberty family, there are no problems. They just get solved.
Yep. Okay. And then one thing I'm really proud of at Liberty is that we're not just talking about energy poverty, but we're actually doing something about it. So can you tell our listeners more about the recently launched Bettering Human Lives Foundation?
Love to talk about the foundation. The first thing I'll say, even before we launched the foundation, we were doing a lot for energy poverty, mainly through our business. We frack 20% of the wells drilled in the U.S. and Canada. Over 100 million people get clean cooking fuel from wells fracked by Liberty. So by bringing lots of energy efficiently and affordably to the world, we were already addressing energy poverty in the general sense. But we launched the foundation recently to tackle what I think is the biggest single solvable problem in the world. The world's got a lot of problems. Some of them are more solvable than others. But we've got over 2 billion people that are cooking their daily meals today, burning wood, dung, or agricultural waste indoors. Indoor air pollution from that kills 3 million people. What's the solution? a cook stove, and a propane canister. We can do that. We can do that. Fortunately, 50 to 100 million people a year are making the transition. This is the biggest step out of poverty because women and children who do all the manual labor in the developing world are no longer spending hours a day gathering wood and then sitting there over fires, waking up 2 hours before they got to cook meals to stoke a fire and get it ready. It is grinding drudgery that again, more than a quarter of humanity are subjected to. So with the Bettering Human Lives Foundation, we're getting funds from Liberty and our partners. We've been flooded with donations, and we're taking that money, not as charity, but to make zero interest loans to entrepreneurs in Africa that already have businesses that are supplying clean cooking fuel, but they can't get any more capital. They can't get more canisters or more delivery vehicles or expand their businesses. There's just not capital available for small business in Africa. If they can get a loan, it's 30 or 40% interest rate. So we can step into that gap, make low interest loans. We want them loans because you want to give money to successful businesses that are going to go from 5,000 families to 15,000 families that are getting clean cooking fuel. They pay us back that money. We're going to lend it to someone else. So our goal is to bet on human liberty and entrepreneurship to transform the lives of, 1 million families as quick as we can, and then many millions of families.
And then what piece of advice would you give to someone who's in Generation Z looking to get involved with the foundation and help out in that way?
So look, to me, life is about doing great things with great people, and particularly things that have meaning. Like what could be more meaningful than tens of dollars or a little bit of additional effort? You can change the trajectory of a family. So please come join us in that mission. A $50 donation online, you've changed the trajectory of a family. Like that is just gigantic. And then come join us, bring ideas. Ultimately, we're going to be sending people to Africa. We're going to be helping with technology and hands-on labor with these businesses as well. But yeah, you want to have purpose and meaning in your life, come join us in the industry. Come join us in the foundation.
I love that. So it's been interesting to see how fast things have changed, even in the 12 years that Liberty has been a company. How do we stay innovative in a constantly evolving industry?
And again, innovation's culture. Innovation's culture. We couldn't not be innovative. You look at the people that are inside the doors of Liberty, they're just not happy with the way things are today. They want to make them better tomorrow. There's nothing I do. There's nothing we have to do to drive innovation. It happens by nature of the people we have in our company and the culture. Like one of our great innovations early on, young Robert Henderson, in his 20s, early 20s, I think, working as a field engineer in North Dakota, said, hey, we keep having to open up these things and put yardsticks in to measure so-called strapping tanks, how much chemicals in that tank. Anybody mind if I buy a Raspberry Pi board and figure out a solution to this? We're like, go, Robert, go, And that's how a technology that's on all of our fleets was born. But it's just attitude. It's people and attitude and freedom. In your own job, right? We don't tell everyone what to do at this company. We hire great people and task them with an endpoint. They figure out how to get to that endpoint. And innovation is always part of getting to the endpoint the best way.
So when I was in college, there was not a lot of positive discussion about the contributions of oil and gas industry. And it's been super eye-opening for me to learn about the trade-offs and the net positive impact our industry has on modern life. So given the current geopolitical situation and cost of living constraints, we have a lot of momentum. So with that being said, what do you think is the most significant misconception about the energy industry among the younger generations?
First of all, my misconception, I would have guessed that the I Love Oil and Gas Club was the biggest club at your college. But now that you said it wasn't, I got to take that in and process it. But I think to young people, they don't realize, people think oil and gas is for like powering your car, maybe it's for heating their home. They don't realize it's the clothes you wear, it's the skateboard, it's your computer, it's your iPad, it's your glasses, it's the device in my heart that saved my life, when I 20 years ago. So oil and gas are basically the fabric of our world. There's nothing we do that's not intimately involved with the availability, affordability, and flexibility of the energy sources. So energy is just the infrastructure for a good life. And also, there's no such thing as dirty energy or clean energy. Every energy source has different strengths and different weaknesses. Energy is big physical systems. They all have impacts on the environment. All of them have negative impacts on the environment. All of them have positive impacts on human lives. And of course, some of them, like oil and gas, can have hugely positive impacts on the environment too. For example, we don't have to cut down all the trees anymore to cook our food and warm our houses. We're growing net growth in forests now. So everything is a trade-off, but people should look at energy in a little bit of a broader framework. An electric car uses every bit as much hydrocarbons as a gas-powered car. It just doesn't use gasoline. It uses diesel for mining and oil and gas petrochemicals. There's 1,000 pounds of plastics in a Tesla. Then you got to charge the Tesla. You got to make those batteries. So energy is just infrastructure. It shouldn't be as emotional and political as it is. It's just different trade-offs. How can we make the energy system better? But to me, the single biggest challenge, we got 1 billion people living fully energized lives like all of us that are listening to this podcast. We've got 7 billion people that don't have a fraction of that. And you know what they want? They want what we have. So our job is to bring more energy and better energy to the world to make people's lives better.
And then what do you think the biggest challenges you see the industry facing in the near future? And how can the younger generation contribute to these conversations and overcoming these challenges?
Well, hey, the challenge is what we were just talking about, is that younger generation. It's an educational system. It's the failure of our industry to reach out and engage with people. People think we're evil and there's some cheaper, freer, greener solution next door as long as we get out of the way. But that's just not so. Look, I went to college to work on nuclear energy. I worked in solar energy in graduate school and geothermal energy right after that. I don't care where energy comes from. I just want energy that's going to better lives. And it's got to be affordable, reliable, and able to do that. But our failure to communicate and this impression, this sort of black and white, good and evil, clean and dirty view of parts of the energy industry versus other parts, that's very destructive. That leads very reasonable, middle-of-the-road politicians to oppose pipelines and oppose energy infrastructure, not realizing by doing that they're raising someone's home heating prices. They're making it more expensive for a business to operate in that state. It might move somewhere else. They're making barriers in the way of those other 7 billion people to get better energized lives. So I think a proper respect and understanding for energy, that's our biggest problem. And I think this podcast could solve it.
Yes, I agree. And then what do you see as the biggest driver to encourage young people to learn the positives of oil and gas?
I think I always put it broader in energy. I think if people understand that the human condition was 30-year life expectancy throughout all of human history until about 200 years ago, and really the last 150 years, human life expectancy is more than doubled. What drove that? Everyone should wonder, why is that? And really it's two things. It's the growth of bottom-up social organization, human liberty, freeing people. We had slavery all around the world in every major society. Women didn't have the right to vote anywhere until 110 years ago. Like the world was wildly different, where there were top-down control over groups, over people, over everyone. And we freed those people, and that combination with an explosion in available energy. You can't make an airplane burn in wood, right? You can't have a modern hospital burning wood. You can't have a skyscraper. You can't go on a great vacation. You can't go skiing. You can't do any of those things. So I think the appreciation that this explosion in available energy has changed our world, and don't you want to change the world for billions of people that don't have what we have? I think, to me, what I love about energy is it matters. It's meaningful. Everyone's job is valuable. Everyone's working hard to do good things in the world, but it's hard to be in an industry more valuable than the energy industry.
So now to end the podcast, we have a couple of fun questions. So I'm going to give you a list of Gen Z slang terms. And if you need help, I can...
Are you implying I'm not Gen Z?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one we have is chuggy. What do you think that means?
Sounds like someone who's really good at chugging beer.
Okay. That is wrong, but close. So I'm going to give you an example of it used in a sentence. So I'm wearing bell-bottom jeans. People would maybe say that's chuggy today. So does that change what you think the answer is?
Bell-bottom jeans and boots with the fur, kind of like retro fashion from 20-some years ago.
Yes. So it essentially means something uncool or out of style. So you got there.
Almost there.
You got there. All right. The second one is glow up. What do you think that means?
Glow up. Brighten up your outfit.
Yeah.
Stop wearing brown.
Okay. That's good. So the definition is actually someone's having like a glow up. So, oh, like she got a new wardrobe, like she glue up. So you were kind of
Flashy clothes?
Yes, flashy.
Flashy. All
Out
right.
there.
I love it, man. I aspire to glow up someday.
Okay. The next one is cap.
Cap. The old name for a baseball hat. It's retro for a hat.
It's okay. So I'm going to use it in a sentence. Minutes, but everyone knew that was cap.
Oh, is it crap without the R? Or it's bragging or bloviating and not being able to back it up?
Yes, essentially someone who's lying. Yep.
Okay.
So there.
Cap.
You
Got
got
it.
that
I'm going
one.
to use that one now.
You should.
Don't
Okay.
cap on me.
There it was. You used it right. Okay. Next one is drip.
Drip. The old-fashioned way to make coffee.
No, but that's
Drip in my time was kind of a dweeb or a nerdy. He's a real drip. You know, it was a derogatory, like
Okay.
nerdy, not fun person.
so now it kind of means the opposite. It's he showed up to work in some serious drip. So it's kind of having like a good sense of fashion. Okay, the last one, which is my personal favorite. How would you define the term Riz?
Riz. I don't know. I got nothing.
I'll give it to you in a sentence. He walked over to the group with confidence and used his Riz to start a conversation.
Could be his charm.
Yep. Yeah.
Or his flash.
Yeah, his like charisma.
Charisma. Yeah.
So
Riz.
Yeah.
Oh, I love from charisma.
Yep.
Riz. Oh, that was
so you
good.
need to add that one.
Okay.
Start using that.
I'm going
Okay.
to aspire to Riz someday.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And I just have one final question to kind of wrap everything up. So, from all we talked about today, is there one-liner that you would deliver to all of the Gen Zs listening out there? So, just a key takeaway from this whole episode.
Boy, energy matters for everyone's life. Come join us and make the energy system bigger, broader, and better.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris.
Thanks, A-Fly. It was my pleasure to try to fly with you. I didn't fly so well at the end, but I tried.
You did great.